Electric cars suck, and after driving a Ferrari and an Alpina B3, I can tell you why. Stick around to the end, guys, because I can show you some of the behind the scenes of driving and filming 575 Maranello and the Alpina B3. Foot down in it! Please! Now, of course, electric cars do some things really well. I actually own the Model 3 myself. They are just so good at doing daily stuff. They're cheap to run. There's some technology in here which is just amazing, which isn't in many other cars. There are some fundamental differences which tell me that petrol will live on. That Ferrari with that V12 engine, actually, surprisingly, I thought it would all be about the performance, but it's not. It's super smooth. Obviously, that's a GT style car, super smooth, but still some skill required. But also it's from in that generation where cars were a bit smaller, so you can play around on the road a little bit more. You've got more room to work with, which is really nice. But of course, it's that sound, the mechanics of the engine, the gearbox. Obviously that was a manual car, so you're really involved, and it requires a level of skill and a level of interest that really just makes it come alive and become like a real thing, and electric cars just don't do that. I'll show you some of the behind the scenes of what it was like to film those videos. So let's talk about the Ferrari film first. Of course, driving your very first Ferrari, but also being a gated manual V12 was really special. Now, the biggest thing when it comes to this kind of work that I'm doing is the trust involved by owners of these vehicles is like, there's so much gratitude here like you wouldn't believe. But also there's a huge amount of work involved in making films like this. Not only do I run all the cameras and the microphones, but also building those relationships, sending out those emails, trying to encourage this film to be made, and then logistics, trying to be in the right place, right time, right weather, making it all come together, and then trying to not make mistakes. And actually on that Ferrari film, we did make a mistake. So we'd already done a whole bunch of filming with the Alpina, and then we came to the end of the day and we wanted to make, a film with the Ferrari as best we could. So we did as much as we could outside, trying not to drive the car too much. Obviously the values are really high, and the more time we spend out on the road, the more risk involved. I have to say, my hands are sweating.
So were mine. Did you see the white?
Yeah, I did, yeah. He put his foot down on purpose.
From my point of view, I'm like,
no, yeah, there was...
I could see him coming, I could see you keep going. I was like, I now lost where he is.
Yeah, no, I double checked. I was like, yeah, no, it's okay. So we wanted to do what we could on site, which was great. That worked out, that looked good. But I made one fundamental mistake, which is not allowing enough time to be able to check your audio. Normally I do this, but when you're in a rush, you're not always able to do it. So as I put the seatbelt over my shoulder, I thought I was being really clever, hiding the microphone out of shot, and that seatbelt just was rubbing or just gone over the microphone, and basically all that audio was ruined. There was a few little spots where I could use it. Should I have spent, an extra 2 or 3 minutes checking the audio? Yes. But did I actually have that 2 or 3 minutes and that brain capacity? No, I didn't. So mistakes happen, don't they? How about the Alpina B3? This car was really cool to drive. I'd never driven one before. And their special sauce that they pour on that car just really made it quite unique. I think the suspension, especially, I mention it in the film, that the way it takes on the road really makes it a car for every situation. It's not super perfect at everything, like it never can be. It's slightly compromised in one way. It's not a super sporty car because it's so refined that you can't quite hear the exhaust that much. Like maybe at the top end you can hear a little bit. So for a full-on sports car, it's not that. But then also when it comes to a comfortable car, it is comfortable, but then you could get something with like air suspension and that would be more comfortable. So it doesn't do anything any better than any other car, but what it does do better than everything is it has the least compromises trying to do everything. Does that even make sense? I think that makes sense, right? So making those two films, the Alpina B3 and the Ferrari 575, I did that on the same day. And not only that, I started with a 3-hour drive, leaving at about 6:30 in the morning. So 3-hour drive, did the Alpina B3 film, did the Ferrari film at the end of the day, and then drove home another 3 hours. So I got up at around 6. I got home at like 1:15. I did all the filming, all the rigging, all the microphones, and all that driving. And that's what came out of it. So when it all looks like glitz and glamour online, well, yeah, it's a special moment, like a special day to drive some really unique cars, which is wonderful. But there's a huge amount of work behind it, and it's making sure you've got every little thing, especially when it comes to filmmaking. Have I got this filter? Have I got that filter? Have I cleared all the memory? You know, there's so much that goes into it, and I really appreciate everybody that goes out there and makes films, especially on YouTube. So when it comes to making these films, you want to do as much as you can in the time you have. I would love to make films without me speaking to camera. I would love it to be as dynamic as possible, and with the audio good enough that you could just watch it with the sound of the gear changes and the pops off the exhaust and the revs building and just having great scenery. And I'd love to make that, and I am going to start doing that. But when you're so focused on trying to present to camera, getting all the gear together, not crashing the car, not damaging anything, there's so much going on that to make multiple films on a shoot day is really, really difficult. It is something that I think I'm going to be able to do as we go down the line. But yeah, you definitely have to have a focus in mind. What am I trying to achieve here? And then the other stuff we can add on later. So I think for any other filmmaker that's trying to do it, I would definitely encourage that. Just do what you can in the time that you have and then add on to it later. Now, if we're looking at the split between the Alpina film and the Ferrari film, I think I probably spent about 4 hours literally with the car making the Alpina film. So there's far more time spent there. Actually, 4 hours isn't very long compared to the Ferrari film, which I probably had the car for like 2 hours. So half the amount of time. And I was already tired because I'd done 3 hours of driving to get to the car. I'd done the filming with the Alpina, so that's 4 hours. And then, yeah, 2 hours at the end of the day, getting a bit tired. And I had made a small mistake because sometimes you're going from 4K footage to then like high frame rate footage to do slow-mo. And I'd made a small mistake of thinking that I was shooting in slow-mo, but actually that I wasn't filming in slow-mo, sorry. That I was shooting in just 25 frames, but actually I was filming in slow-mo, so all the shots I had were fine. But I ended up reshooting because I'd changed it back without realising that I'd done it. I'd forgot. So I ended up shooting 2 lots of slow-mo footage. So I had more to play with, which is nice. But yeah, even like thinking you've made a mistake when you haven't, it's just these are the things that happen when you're trying to do everything. It's a real challenge, but it's also a real joy. We've had so much positive feedback that I really hope everybody goes and watches the other films if they haven't already. Moving forwards, what would we like to be filming? Okay, so there's potential to do some stuff with Land Rover Defenders. Well, today we have this very cool Land Rover Defender with an LS3 swapped 6.2 litre petrol engine. We'll see what happens there. They would be cool. If there's anything that you guys would like to see on the channel, please comment down below, because if there's real interest around certain cars, then I'll try and make those films happen. So some of the cars we have done is Porsche and Ferrari, which I can't believe I'm saying that I've already done both at this stage. There's plenty more Ferraris and plenty more Porsches that I want to feature on the channel. But I want to go through each brand. So McLaren's on there, Aston Martin, Lamborghini. Yeah, there's some great stuff. If you have access to any of these cars and you're happy to have them filmed, hit me up. But yeah, let me know down below what you want to see and I'll try and chase those cars down. But yeah, I really appreciate you watching. Have a good one.